If you're really being honest about where a new home salesperson is going to get their sales, it's the realtor relationships that we have. Almost 90% of our transactions have a realtor attached to them.
I am super excited to welcome Cliff Stahl, the VP of National Sales for Meritage Homes, to the podcast today, which is a very special guest. I've been looking forward to this one for a while, so you guys are in for a treat. Meritage is a top 5 builder in the US. It's a publicly traded company. Cliff has been running the sales team at a national level for how many years?
Well, 14 now. So it's, I started with Meritage. Well, I guess it's 12 because I was a VP of sales in a division for a couple of years. So let's go with 12.
All right. So the man's been around for a while. He knows his stuff. Meritage did just over 14,000 home sales in 2023, doing 6.1 billion in revenue. You're one of the fastest builders in the last 5 years. Is that right?
It is. It's been quite a journey. We've put together some really good strategies, and it seems to resonate well with the marketplace. So we've been excited about the growth of the company.
Amazing. Cliff, I know we had a chance to talk a little bit the other day, and the one point that really stood out that I think you're really excited about, I'm really excited about, and I think a lot of agents are going to be really excited about. And really what that is, agents are obviously an important part of your business. You guys recently hosted an agent appreciation week. Can you give us an idea of how important agents are to your business? You have some interesting stuff going on, and I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, it's really important to our business. Actually, Eric, I'll start back many years ago when I was a new home salesperson, right? When I started in the business, if I got a call from my sales manager and says, "Hey, I need a sale this week," and back then we didn't really have Salesforce and all that kind of stuff, right? These fancy CRMs that salespeople use today. But my CRM was a Tupperware box that had A, B, and C leads in it, right? That and registration cards. That was my CRM. But
Love it.
the most important part of my job, when my sales leader said I needed a sale, was the business cards that sat beside my computer, and it was all the realtors that I had done business with or I had formed relationships with. So if I needed a sale, the only way that I could really do that, Eric, was to pick up the phone and start calling realtors and seeing where they were at in the marketplace. What clients did they have? Could I help them in any way in terms of being able to help them be successful with their business? So it all started way back then with that idea that if you're really being honest in new home sales about where a new home salesperson is going to get their sales, it comes from two places. Marketing teams driving traffic to our front door, but most importantly, it's the realtor relationships that we have. So if we progress that, many moons later, I sold 20 something years ago, that became the precipice for an idea that Meritage really, at the core of it, our customer is realtors. And yes, it's important for us to really understand who our home buyers are, but home buyers, statistics show, all the research shows, like even within us, almost 90% of our transactions have a realtor attached to them. So if realtors are bringing us clients. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we've reformulated a strategy to really lean into realtors, and it starts with the idea that the realtor is our customer. And when you look at it from that lens, that really changes the way that you market. It changes the way that you prospect it, and it changes the way that we ask our salespeople to relate to realtors to help them be successful with their business. So it's a huge part of our effort. We have a new strategy that we're rolling out that encompasses various things to be easy to the market, if you will, and really meet buyers where they're at. Well, buyers meet through realtors. And that's really kind of the idea is if we can really focus on realtors, then we'll have an opportunity to really lean in with customers.
I love that. And I think a lot of realtors, like I said, are going to love to hear this because with the NHR settlement, we've been having a lot of conversations about this. And, the realtor's always fearful the builder's going to squeeze them out,
Yeah.
So we've had interesting conversations like this, and you hear these horror stories. And so, I've heard them from some builders more than others for sure. But like, what's your plan moving forward to harness these relationships? Because as you said, 90% of people are coming in with an agent. You've told me on another call how important having that is for the client.
Yeah.
And so how are you really going to be leaning into this and building that into your sales process?
So a couple of things on the inside technique side, if you will. We've removed the first visit rule. So, historically in our business, if you weren't, the realtor got cut out and they were always worried, and rightfully so. Hey, if my client just shows up, then the realtor or the new home builder has the sign on the door that says, if you're not with your realtor on the first visit, then we're not paying a commission. We've eliminated that rule at Meritage. That
Love.
to me is really just a point in time. Historically, what you're saying to realtors then is that, well, if you weren't the cause of procurement, if you will, then you weren't entitled to a commission. Well, we know in today's world that buyers shop differently and they use third-party websites and they go out and they do things on their own, and the access to information is so readily available to them that really, that when they walk through the front door, that's just a point in time. What I really want to pay a commission for is I love to pay a commission to a realtor who helps a home buyer, i.e. their client, hopes their client find the correct home. If that's a Meritage home, that we successfully work together to get that to the finish line. And if we get it to the finish line, that's really the important point of time that we should all focus on. So I'm happy to pay commission to, in fact, within Meritage, we're striving for 100% realtor co-op. We hope that every realtor or every client that comes to see us, they use their realtor, because we know how important the realtors are to advising their clients, giving them good fiduciary responsibilities, helping them make a great choice for themselves, their families. And at the end of the day, it's such a big purchase and it's such oftentimes a complicated type of a process that I need those realtors to really be good partners to their clients, because I have to represent the builder, right? My fiduciary responsibilities to the builder. And so we absolutely want our clients to have all the best representation that they can.
I mean, I love that. So I want to just repeat that because it's worth repeating. You guys are striving for 100% outside representation.
We do. That's a metric that my CEO would love to see. And at the end of the day, let's be honest. We are a business, and so we have to account for costs just like anybody else. And so we build realtor commissions into the price. It's a free service to our buyers. And so at the end of the day, we want our buyers to take advantage of that free service because, at the end, it's included in the price of the house. And so if you don't take advantage of that, then, that's kind of a loss at the end of the day.
Got it. So how did you like, whose idea was this and how have you gotten everyone on board? Because this seems a little bit contrary to what the industry has done up until today.
Well, it started about 2.5 years ago. Meritage has always been known to be fairly innovative when it comes to the way that we build homes. We started looking at strategies about how we can reach 20,000, right? That was kind of the number out of the gate. Like, we're 14,000 closings. We'd love to get to 20,000. That really solidifies us as a top five builder, actually inside of the top five. And that was really the mindset that we went into this: is how do we continue to grow as a company, knowing full well that we'd have to change maybe some of the tactics or the strategies that we use to be helpful to home buyers and to realtors to reach that goal. So we really, 2.5 years ago, there's a bunch of executives that got in a room and we started brainstorming about ways that we could do this. And where we landed, honestly, was we could compete with resale. The idea was is that it wasn't just about realtor relationships. It's actually, how do you compete with the resale market? Traditionally in new home sales, it's 12, 14, 15% of real estate transactions are new home sales. That's increased quite a bit, honestly, with the kind of the squeeze that we've had with interest rates and not a lot of used home supply. So it's actually shot up quite a bit.
Mhm.
When even that normalizes back a little bit, we really feel like the opportunity isn't for me to compete with DR Horton, Lennar, all the other home builders in the new home space. Certainly, we need to be aware of that, and we need to make sure we do that. But at the end of the day, where the growth's going to come from is how do we get more buyers and realtors that are only locked into resale wanting to work with new home sales.
Awesome. So is that part of the vision is to be known as the builder that treats agents has the best relationship with agents?
So that was really the vision, right? We got a whole bunch of executives in a room. We were thinking about how do we get to 20,000 units, and we kicked around a whole bunch of ideas, like I said, and landing on this idea that in order for us to grow, really focused on the idea of how to compete with resale. Well, certainly in the resale side of the business, almost 100% of transactions is between realtors, right? Realtors doing business with each other to help their clients sell or purchase a home. And so we started to think about, okay, well, if we want to do that, if we want to compete with resale, we have to embrace the realtor. And we have to understand that the realtor is a really valuable part of the business. And more importantly, not just about individual transactions. We wanted to build relationships, or we want to build relationships with realtors that are longer lasting. It's not just about, oh, we have one house and we need you to help your client buy it from us, or I need to help you with a client find a house. It really needs to be about longer term relationships, and how do we continue to support one another within the industry that's rapidly changing, but there's a place for all of us. And so the techniques that I talked about in terms of like removing the first visit rule, or ensuring that we're extremely transparent about commissions. We're going to pay, regardless of the NAR thing and all that's going on. We're going to be extremely transparent to realtors, saying we're going to pay market rate commissions. If that's 3%, it's 3%, right? And we're not going to make any bones about it, and we're happy to pay it. But we're not going to shy away from it. We really feel like that's kind of a cherry on top of the cake, honestly, this NAR settlement, for us to be able to be a really good partner to realtors, especially around when it comes to their compensation. And so I know there's a lot of angst about that. So we'll continue to build programs that lean into it, but it all started with in a room about how to compete with resale. And the best way to compete with resale is to have great relationships with realtors.
I love that. And it sounds like you guys really understand word of mouth.
We do, and we can do better at it, honestly, Eric. Word of mouth in
We all
today's
can.
world is social media, right? And so we're really spending a lot of time looking at and working with our marketing teams. That campaign that you talked about, that agent appreciation campaign that you talked about, was a very specific campaign. If you noticed, it really wasn't about anything other than recognition of realtor partnerships, and we want our realtors to know that we value them. And that's really what that whole campaign was about. It was highly successful. And I'll say this, it wasn't highly successful in terms of the number of additional sales we got. That really wasn't what it was about. It was
Mhm.
about the opportunities between our salespeople and realtors in their marketplace to start these relationships, or rekindle them, or make them stronger. And so for us, it was a fantastic opportunity to enter into this new way of doing business. And the Agent Appreciation Project was a really good example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine. And I mean, if there's one thing I know about realtors being in this business for 7 years now, is they do like to talk. And
Yeah.
so when you get a bad reputation, you see it on Reddit, or you see it in a Facebook thread, or you see it around, right? And I think word of mouth is that only thing that multiplies. You
Yes.
tell one person tells two people, those two people can tell four. It can really multiply. And when you build that relationship, this is what I love about this strategy, because I think a lot of agents are feeling the squeeze right now on the buyer side of the business. And some people, I haven't been worried about the new construction world personally, but I think a lot of people have. And I think when you focus on being agent centric, you're going to get that positive word of mouth. It's just going to say, it's going to come back to those buyers. They're going to say, Meritage is really good to work with. They really
Yeah.
they really value people and relationships, and for me, that goes a long way.
You hit the nail on the head. These for us, when I think about it, there's if I'm a realtor, like I always tell my sales team, think outside in. Like, let's build our sales strategies to be about where the customer, in this case, the customer is our realtor. Let's understand who our customer is and the things that really trouble them or concern them or cause them angst, right? If
Mhm.
we can help remove those obstacles or do better with those types of things, that's where you gain partnerships, right? And so for us to be able to say, if I'm a realtor, well, realtors, absolutely, they go to bed at night worrying about where their next client's going to come from, right? So they're always looking for new clients. They're always looking for new listings. They go to bed at night like, okay, I got to make sure I've got a healthy amount of listings. And I'm speaking more from the agent that does kind of half and half, right? Buyers and listing agents. The other thing that they worry about is, how am I going to compete with other realtors? How am I going to be able to stand out amongst all the realtors in the world and gain these additional listings and clients that I'm going to bed worried about? And then finally, how do I make my life easy, right? Most realtors, in my opinion, oftentimes they really get into the business. They understand they're probably good people, right? They're
Yep.
great at relationships. They're great at even the idea of salesmanship. I think a lot of realtors are good salespeople just in the core. But what they often aren't comfortable with is being business owners. And really, realtors are small business owners. And so all the stuff that goes with that, right? And including being paid fairly for the work that you do. So if we can build all of the things that we do in our branding and our word of mouth, that, hey, Meritage can, we're even open to giving realtors some of our listings. Like if you want to come sit one of our homes that we have, and you want to do an open house at one of our houses, or if you want to work with one of our teams and we've got a house and you'd like to have an exclusive listing with us, and you take it and sell that house and earn the commission. We're even talking about, how do we share leads, right? We get 6,000 leads a month that roll into Meritage at various times and different qualities. But how do we work to share those leads with the real estate community so they have access to more clients? So we're trying to build all of these different programs for us to be able to lean into realtors to, again, not just help them with one individual transaction, but how do we help them be successful in their business? Because you said it, if we do that, what goes around comes around. You're going to think of Meritage first, and at the end of the day, that's my driving thing with my team. Is I'm not looking for additional sales. What I'm looking for is that when a realtor sits with a client and they've got 6 homes that they're going to take their client to that weekend, and one of those 6 is not a Meritage, that they say in the back of their head, oh, you know what? I wonder if Meritage has a house that might work for you too. And let's put that in the competitive set. And then I'm one of 7. And if I can have a 1 in 7 shot, I'm really comfortable with the homes that we sell. We build amazing homes and amazing communities. They're priced well. We've got all the other financing things, all the great things that go with a new home, including warranties and things of that nature. Everything about this leads to the idea that if I'm one of 7, I really like my odds.
I love that. Just making sure you're getting in the mix. And
Yeah,
so, and like getting fair representation, not biased representation. Like that's not what you're looking
correct.
for. It's just fair, honest representation to take up real estate, no pun intended, in the agent's mind.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely love. So you said something that I think a lot of people are going to find really interesting, which is sharing leads. So you guys get 6,000 leads, obviously that's our world is lead generation, but 6,000 leads a month. Do you have a plan for that yet? How are you going to choose how to share those, or is that still early stage?
Still early stage, but what I can share, and that 6,000 number, there's actually more than that, depending on, those are 6,000 that I would deem to be quality leads, right? So let's put it that. So even that, right? The number is a really good number of people who call us or webcast us or whatever it is that they reach out to us and come through our website. The first idea that we are certainly going to be working on is the redesign of our website. The redesign of our website will have like an agent finder, right? If you come to meritagehomes.com and you don't have an agent, then on our site you're going to be able to click and you'll be able to find agents that have been working with Meritage, or that we're really comfortable with the professionalism, that we would be willing to recommend them. It's
Like
not a biased
verify,
thing. Yeah,
verify.
yeah. And so you could then tap into them there. So I think that that'll be the first place that we do that. Then I think you're going to start to see additional opportunities where we might have a loyalty program, for instance. Like if you do some business with us, then we might be willing to be in a situation where we can feed you some leads that we're also working with. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we want to cut our salespeople out of the deal. That's not at all the intent. It's the idea that we want realtors to, or our buyers who come to our website or otherwise come to us, that they get connected with a realtor so that they can get the proper representation. So even if you call my inside sales team, right, I'm going to be talking to my inside sales team and they're going to be saying things like, well, hey, before we get started, do you have a realtor that's representing you? We want to make sure that one, if you are, that we want to log that in our system so that we can make sure that everybody gets taken care of correctly. But secondly, if you don't, we might be able to offer you this agent finder list. And hey, we've got a list of realtors that work with Meritage and are familiar with Meritage Homes. They also represent other new home builders and the resale market. So it's not just Meritage. We don't want it to be about that. But we may be able to float that list to them and be able to share the realtors information with our buyers so that they can have an opportunity to reach out.
Yeah, that's incredible. Because I mean, you know this as well as I do, but like a lot of those, leads that you get have probably signed up on other agents' websites. They've signed up on probably
Sure.
other builders' website, and not all of them are going to obviously buy a Meritage home. So,
Right.
and a realtor can, help them buy whatever they want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so you're coming from a place of not saying, hey, these are our leads and I want to protect them. You're coming from, which is I think a scarcity mindset. You're coming from an abundance mindset saying, hey, there's tons of business to go around. I recognize that, not all these people are going to buy a Meritage home, and maybe rightfully so. Like it's not necessarily for everyone. We just want to be a part
No,
of that conversation.
we
If we can
we
build,
know it. Yeah, we know at the end of the day, Eric, that location's important.
yeah,
School districts are important. Budgets are important. There's so many factors that go into selecting a new home, and there's choices that buyers have. Um, we are extremely confident in our product. We
yeah,
just know that if we can get, I always call it the bucket of good enough, right? If I can get into the bucket of good enough, then I know that spray foam insulation and lower energy bills and great communities and homes that really actually, when you go back to our tagline, life built better. Well, the whole idea of built and better is this idea that the home is better. Homes perform better, and it's not just about the sticks that bring them together. The technology that's involved with these homes is incredible. So I love the opportunity to be able to just get in the competitive set, and if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, we love that our realtors were able to give an opportunity to their clients that maybe they didn't otherwise consider. It makes them look great in front of their clients that they're providing the correct representation. And then maybe the next one comes around and we get an opportunity to do a deal together.
I love it. Well, Cliff, for my experience with this stuff, I think it's going to work out really well. I think you think that too, obviously. But
Yeah.
you know the business so intimately that you're like, hey, this is a source of abundance. We have a great business. We believe in our product. Because at the end of the day, I think amazing homes do sell themselves to a degree if you build them really well and then educate people on them, right? And that's
Yeah.
what I want to kind of get to next. And so you're using the leads, the opportunity of building these relationships with agents as a way to just like advance that relationship to ultimately take up more real estate in their mind. And then hopefully that results in a bigger, better relationship with a lot of agents where you have the opportunity to then educate them on why a Meritage home is better or amazing or should be looked at, should be in the one of seven, right? In the first place. Because it's hard as an agent to keep up with every single thing out there. But if you have these good relationships, you're sending them leads, you're having conversations with them, you're educating them, that's going to make like you said, them look a lot better in front of their client when they actually have the knowledge. So, what are you doing? You obviously did an agent appreciation event, which you said wasn't education, it was just an appreciation event, which is great. But what about how are you educating agents today as part of this kind of formula?
Yeah, so I think what you're going to be seeing from us coming forward, right? We told our teams we wanted to take this year to develop the strategy, and really 2025 is about executing on the strategy. But you're seeing a couple of different things with us. One is even the traditional way in which we staff our sales offices, right? Historically, as you and I know, Eric, in this business, you buy some lots, you build a model home, you go hire a couple salespeople. Marketing drives them to the front door, and those salespeople are told, sell this community, right? And try and get a couple of sales a month for each of you, and everybody's going to be happy, right? That's been the model forever and a day. Put a big flag out there and drive traffic to it.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're doing differently to lean into realtor relationships and making sure that we can support realtors correctly is we're changing how our salespeople sell. So no longer do our salespeople just sit in one model home. They have the ability, they're called DSAs, they're called defined selling areas, where we actually say, okay, in this area, think kind of like pharmaceutical sales, right?
Mhm.
Pharmaceutical sales reps work as an area where doctors are for them to be able to go and educate, build relationships, make sure that they're supporting their doctors as it relates to how and when to prescribe the correct drugs. And hopefully it's the drug that they're representing, right? I get it, and that's the understanding. Well, we're kind of taking that same approach with sales, right? We want our salespeople out. We want them out engaging with realtors and helping them be successful with their business, building those relationships, and not moving our salespeople around all the time from community to community to community. So we want our realtors to tell the story one time. You hook up with one of our team members. If that community doesn't work, that salesperson at Meritage can take you to a different community. And then you don't have to go retell the story and go reintroduce yourself and rebuild the whole relationship thing. So we're allowing our salespeople our best salespeople will have the opportunity to sell more homes, but they're going to work areas that they're going to kind of stay in for a long amount of time. And so they'll know who the good realtors are. They'll know who the realtors are that they want to invest in and who want to invest in Meritage in terms of relationship building and the opportunity to sell homes. And so we really feel like this new DSA strategy is one really cool way for our salespeople to really be able to lean into realtors and help them be successful for their business and help them look great in front of their clients.
That's a really interesting idea, and I'll tell you why I say that because I love this because I've worked with a lot of pretty big new construction focused agents, and one of them coined it the builder trap, which was you walk into a show home and you know that rep has to sell you that inventory only. So what you've
Yeah,
done creatively is remove the bias.
correct.
You've
That's
removed
exactly.
you've removed the bias from that builder rep trying to sell you something on the spot. It's like timeshare sales almost when you go down to Mexico and they're like they know they got to make that sale right then and there, and if you leave it's like almost 0% they're going to get that sale, so it takes that pressure away and that bias, and I absolutely love that. So what I think tell me if I'm wrong, but is the assumption you're working on that these dedicated or distinct
Yeah,
sales.
they're called DSAs, designated selling areas. Yeah,
So yeah, designated selling area. So you're basically saying you're grouping areas as if I was a home buyer, I'm probably looking in one of these areas, right? So they're going to
correct.
be able to show them like a few areas, get educated on them. They're going to have more exposure to more stuff. They're going to understand the communities better, and then therefore help the realtor navigate all of that to the core.
Correct. You nailed it right on the head. And really, the DSAs, Eric, when we started with the concept, it was like, okay, well, these three communities are close by. Like, let's make that a DSA, right? These communities. Well, what we actually shifted to is let's build the DSA area around where the realtors are located, right? If you have a DSA in an area where we know where all the realtor offices are and the realtors that are doing business in that area, then our sales team's job is to be a support to those realtors in that area. And so, yes, and even if your client wants a home, maybe that's outside of the DSA, take them. Like once you connect to one of our sales team members for your client, you stay with them the whole time, right? We're not just going to tell you, oh, it doesn't work here at Shady Oaks, and we'd love for you to go down the street and go see Meritage again, and retell your story and go through all the we know that realtors' time is valuable. And so the more that we can make it easy for them to do business with Meritage and find the correct home, and not, if it's not in Shady Oaks community, let's just find you a great Meritage home if you want a Meritage home, and we're going to help you do that.
Yeah, I love that because nobody likes talking to a salesperson when they know they have a bias, and it's
Oh
like
yeah.
realtors are salespeople too, and they're going to tell their client, hey, here's what you should expect if you're feeling a little pressure, this is why. So you're removing the bias. The plan is to share leads. The plan is to represent, I assume, like verified agents that you guys have worked with that you trust.
Yep.
uh, you're removing the first visit rule. You're looking for 100% representation rate.
But the other, and we're going to let you, even if you want to do an open house, right? If you need listings, like we know listings are scarce right now. We also know that realtors use the open house concept for them to be able to earn the opportunity to represent a client, right? That's part of the idea of an open house is, yes, to sell the open house, but could I meet some clients? And so if we have a home that you'd like to come and sit in an open house and drive the opportunity, we'll try and get some traffic there. You can do the open house and advertise it, put it on your website, however you want to do it. If you want to come and do that with us, we'll give you the opportunity to actually have a listing, or help you get some listings. So again, it goes back to those 4 strategies, right? How do I help you get clients? How do I help you get listings? How do I help you compete? And how do I make it easy for you, including paying you a fair commission?
I love that. And I think just coming from that place of value, right? This is what I talked with on previous episode with Melise, is like, how do you approach the other side with just offering value? As it's like the go-giver mindset. I don't know if you read that book, but amazing book. And like, just lead with value and it'll sort itself out. Good things will come. And
It does. We use the book. It's called The Challenger Sale, right? Same
love that
kind of
book.
same principles are around. How do we meet you where you're at, and how do we make you feel like that you can have an opportunity to be successful because of the relationship. That we're actually going to challenge you to think differently. Like we love this idea that, hey, it's not just about we have homes available, but how do we challenge you so that you can be successful in your business?
Yeah, totally. So you guys are disrupting is what you're doing.
We're disrupting. That's a good way to put it. Sometimes it keeps me up at night. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, it's bold, and but I really believe in it. Like I believe in it to my core, because I was in that sales office at one time with that stack of realtor cards, and I knew where my business came from. I knew that if I did that part well, no knock against marketing teams, but my ability to impact the business and sell a home and take care of myself and my family came from my ability to reach out and brand myself with my realtors in my area.
Absolutely. It's a relationship business at its core, and you guys are leaning into that. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Cliff, this has been an amazing discussion, and I think there's a lot of agents who are gonna love to hear this. And I think that when you say it keeps you up at night, I think that's just part of being a disruptor.
It does. Mostly what keeps me up at night is finding the new ways, right? It's thinking differently, and all of us at Meritage, like we sit in rooms and like we have to challenge ourselves all the time to come back and say, okay, is this how a realtor thinks? Because again, when you shift who your customer is so fundamentally, it changes everything. It changes the complete way that you engage your business. And so for us to have homes that are ready inside of 60 days, when we have move-in ready homes that you don't have to add a bunch to, that they already come almost ready to move in, including blinds and appliances. And so you can actually compete with resale, not just because of the realtor relationship, but because you have homes that deliver in the time frame that normally used homes deliver in, right? Most used homes close in that 45 to 60 day time frame. And then you offer the opportunity, like resale is always about like, well, you can move right into the house and you don't have to add a bunch to it. We're trying to address all 3 of those components in our new strategy so that we can lean into this opportunity to really be successful with realtors and thus for more clients.
I love it, man. And I can tell, Cliff, you believe in your product and you believe in what you're trying to do here, and I 100% support it. So I just wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast. This has been an awesome discussion, and I think a lot of people are going to really like this. So thank you.
Eric, thank you for the time, and thank you for doing this podcast, right? I recently found you, and we're separated by miles, but this is what it's all about, right? We are all in a business and an environment and a community, right? I think of our real estate community to include new home sales, Meritage Homes, with our real estate partners, you doing the work that you're doing. And if we can continue to share ideas and find ways to work together, I think there's opportunities for all of us. So thank you for doing what you do.
I have a feeling we'll find a lot more over time. All
You
right.
bet.
If you're an agent or a builder, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. And if you want to find out how Agent Launch generates new construction leads, builds project sites, edits videos, and more, you can go to agentlaunch.com. We'll see you all in the next episode.